a fun topic to cover because not only are we Catholics, but we're also Lord of the Rings fans. Where is Advent in Lord of the Rings? Tolkien's not trying to write allegory. He hated allegory. He's not trying to do something like the Chronicles of Narnia, where the lion clearly is Aslan, and this is clearly,
Yeah.
Christ's death and resurrection is the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yay!
Yes.
It's a parable. That is not what Lord of the Rings is.
No.
And
No.
yet,
Lord of the Rings is an epic, and it is a myth.
yeah,
But we can draw parallels, and we can draw messages that come from this myth. And a lot of them, I can attest to this, a lot of them the author does not see until after the story is written.
yeah. If you write it with the right base, In other words, if you write it as a Catholic myth, not because you were trying to write a Catholic myth, but because you were trying to write a great myth and you were Catholic,
Yes.
it's just gonna happen.
Yeah. It's not committing the fallacy of putting the moral of the story before the actual story itself.
Yeah.
Or putting the message of the story first, or whatever.
So where do we see this in Lord of the Rings?
Well, the thing that we need to be remembering, this is sort of the overall message that I take from Advent, from an Advent reflection on the Lord of the Rings. Christmas, as a day, is not an end of a season, and it is not an end goal, contrary to how the world treats it. It is a beginning, which is why, in the church, for us Catholics, the Christmas season begins with Christmas. Not with the day after Thanksgiving, or the day after Halloween. The Christmas season begins with Christmas because Christmas Day, is a beginning. Beginning of our Lord's journey of life as a man. And a parallel to that would be when you read the Fellowship of the Ring, the day that the Fellowship departs is in late December. Now, I believe at some point Tolkien specified that he meant December 25th.
Yeah, he might have.
That was something I heard from Joseph Pierce. But it was in the late December.
Yeah. I have the book of his letters. I'm not digging through them to find it. But
I have the same book, and I'm also not going to dig through that. But that's, at least according to Joseph Pierce and his writings, and he would know. He's one of the world's leading experts on Tolkien. So the Fellowship departs around Christmas time. Again, because Christmas is not an end, it is a beginning. It's the beginning of every Christian's journey. And while Christmas may have been the end of a journey, it was not the end. As the Holy Family had to travel from Nazareth to Bethlehem, which is the entire thing that Advent is based on. So their journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem ended. But at that point, it's only beginning. Advent is a prologue.
true.
Just like the Holy Family journeyed from Nazareth to Bethlehem. You read the Fellowship. The hobbits had to journey from the Shire to Rivendell. And yes, that journey may have been over because originally Frodo's only task was to bring the ring to Rivendell. But then at the Council of Elrond, everything changes. The ring is brought to Rivendell, and now there is another quest to be done. And that is sort of where the Advent at Rivendell begins.
Yeah.
Is that there are preparations being made because the council is over, the council is through, and if you have read the books, it's like 2 months between the time that the council is ended and the Fellowship actually is selected and departs.
Not quite
But
the movie
everybody's
timeline.
Yeah, not quite the movie timeline. I like the way the movie did it, but Tolkien had reasons for doing it his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not made clear what everybody is doing, but we can also draw lessons from what we know is being done. So as for what is doing, I'll let Dominic explain that.
Sure. There's a number of different things going on. The first priority that they have is to figure out, okay, where did the Nazgul go? We know that we defeated them at the Fords of Bruinen. We also know that's not how you actually defeat a Nazgul. So they're still alive somewhere, and we got to figure out where. And there's still going to be one in the ring. And the enemy knows where the ring is. Like, he knows it's in Rivendell. Now, we have our plan for what we're going to do, and we don't think that he's going to watch that road, but we need to figure out where the Nazgul are. And so in all directions go scouts. And most of them are just, elves from Rivendell. But in one of the parties, actually, Elrond's own sons go, and Aragorn goes with them. So we know what he's doing. And, yeah, that is their part of preparedness for this quest. And it takes a long time. It takes a couple months. But they let that play out. Even though it means they're going to leave in winter. Because, well, the preparedness is important. So, what does that mean for our own lives? It means reconnoiter your soul. Take stock of your soul. In the midst of this effort to grow in virtue and, live a good life like we try and do, live a holy life, pay attention to your weaknesses and work with the Lord to heal them. Kind of sounds obvious. But like I said earlier, it's okay that we need all these reminders. And it's okay thus that we keep giving ourselves these reminders. They went to great lengths to reconnoiter the way and prepare the way, and so should we, with prayer, with fasting, with almsgiving, with penances, and with all sorts of things. But that's not the only thing they did. No, Gandalf and Elrond don't go on these scouting parties, but they're doing important things too. What are they doing? There's a bit of headcanon here, but I presume that they're talking, and I presume that they're contemplating. Gandalf and Elrond are two of the figures that seem to most consistently know the mind of Eru Ilúvatar. Not perfectly, but
yes,
they do a pretty darn good job.
They're very good at making educated guesses.
Yeah.
Being probably two of the only people in Middle-earth who have actually met Eru Ilúvatar.
Well, Elrond hasn't, but Gandalf has. But there is a sense of his voice and his will that they seem to have, which is why they are, well, it's one of the reasons why they might have the title the Wise. It's not only bestowed to them, but I won't get too far down that particular Tolkien rabbit hole. Anyway,
that'll be for another time.
So they are talking and they are contemplating, even if part of this is headcanon, because they have to be doing something for a couple months. And well, what would they be doing in Rivendell? So we should be doing the same things. It's not just about doing the great acts of fasting and almsgiving. Of fasting and almsgiving and sacrifices, and trying to be more patient with the kids and other stuff. It's trying to grow. It's trying to contemplate our Lord. So to pray, but to think of Him, to study Him, to read the Scriptures, to try and listen to His voice, and not just rattle off, as I am apt to do, just all of the things that I need help with. Mm-hmm. This life is a relationship with God. Not a mere worship of Him, although worship is extraordinarily important.
Yes. And
kind of the entire point, but the way that you do that is through a relationship and through the practices of worship. Mm-hmm. So take time for the relationship. Take time to get to know God. And then thirdly, what are the hobbits doing? Well, depends on which hobbits you're talking about. Merry and Pippin are off and about. That's really all the Tolkien says. They're off and about doing their own thing.
And they're being Merry and Pippin.
Yeah, they're being Merry and Pippin, which is good. Frodo and Bilbo are being Frodo and Bilbo. They are talking about Bilbo's book and different stories and I assume different memories and other things. And at the end, Bilbo gives all the hobbits their swords. He gives Frodo the mithril shirt. And so he's bestowing on them armor and weapons for their journey. There's a lot of spiritual things for that. Getting graces from God and such. But there's also just the time that they are just being, I guess.
They're sitting and they're telling stories.
Yep.
And they're listening.
Like you put it profoundly with Merry and Pippin. What were they doing? They were being Merry and Pippin. What were Frodo and Bilbo doing? They were being Frodo and Bilbo. Sam, I don't think Sam's mentioned quite as much there, interestingly enough. But he would have been doing whatever Sam would have been doing. And
yeah, maybe helping tend the gardens at Rivendell. Maybe because he's a gardener. That's what he does.
Yep. So maybe take some time to just, in addition to everything else, not focus too much on the craziness of the world. Not focus too much on what the next news articles are or what the stock market did.
Yeah.
But just be around your loved ones.
And just be
around
you.
Your family. Focus on, and do what we've talked about a ton of times. Focus on what matters most. Take time to rest, listen to stories, read good books. Yeah, if there is an advent to Lord of the Rings, I would propose that it is this. And yes, you could draw other parallels throughout Lord of the Rings to Advent too, but this is a worthwhile one to settle on. So again, scouts are gathering information, reconnoiter your soul. Gandalf and Elrond are contemplating, so should you. The hobbits are being themselves and living good, simple lives. Do Advent like they are. And the rest of your life like they are, but start here. Start preparing here.
Yeah. Start preparing here and remember that you have another journey ahead of you. Advent is a journey to Christmas. But Christmas is a journey to the cross. And ultimately, the resurrection. And ultimately, to heaven.
That's a great point to bring up because one of the problems that people might see with the Advent comparison to this part of Lord of the Rings is you're comparing Christmas to setting out on the quest. And it's a cold, dreary day in December, and nobody's excited about setting out on the quest. So why would you... how does that work? It's not meant to work perfectly. Don't overthink it.
Yes.
So that hopefully clears up enough of it right there. But yeah, beyond that, Christmas is the beginning of a journey. The beginning of Christ's journey in the world and our journey with him. So that's why I came.
And with that, I don't have very much else to add.
So I guess just do Advent like a hobbit then, right?
Just do everything like a hobbit for the most part.
Probably fine.
Just do Advent like a hobbit. And also like Aragorn and Elrond and Gandalf.
Yes.
And prepare your heart and your soul for the upcoming journey. Because you will need it. And you will need a lot of strength.
And your king, the boy king of the universe, is coming to aid you in this quest. He's going to do all the heavy lifting. And he's going to help you out a lot. Just make way to let him into your heart so that he can.